This film is a record of drama activities in London schools from their beginnings in the nursery to the finished performances by adolescents.
For the young child, drama has its beginnings in natural play, through which he discovers himself and learns of the world around him. He explores and experiments with any available materials, with sights, sounds, and colours. He imitates and creates. All this begins in babyhood in the home environment, so that when he enters the nursery school, he finds life to be an extension of the familiar. Through his own doing, he continues to live through a stage of rapid and constant discovery. With a familiar toy to keep her company and the security of her mother's hand, this little girl is ready and willing to continue her games in the new environment of the nursery school. At last, she will be able to play with all those barrels and other exciting things which she has seen through the playground railings.
This looks like a nice, kind lady. I don't mind going with her a bit, especially when it comes to. It's a lot bigger than our house. Brushes and paint, eh? I wonder if they'll let me play with them. Look out, there's a mouse. No, it isn't, it's a... Well, I'm not quite sure what it is. Mummy seems to be getting on well with a nice lady. I know what that is. I have to tie my glass. So I'm sure it tastes much better through a straw, even if you do have to sit quite still like you're growing up. Is that a wedding party over there? Hello, what's going on now?
Sometimes the teacher joins in and introduces the children to some of the rhythmic sounds that they hear in their everyday lives. Children of all ages are sensitive to sounds and love to move freely to them.
I can't help it. I must join in. Oh dear, Mummy looks as if she's going, but the nice lady's still here.
Play such as this is a necessity for the very young and continues to be the centre of life in the infant school. Now we see a steady progression, for their imaginative thinking is enriched and stimulated in a variety of ways.
Who's into one won't go?
And this little girl really knows how long 18 inches is.
To help us do our sums, we have some lovely games on the floor with numbers. Everything in the classroom is labelled. We find out what the labels mean and tell each other what they say. Sometimes we play at shops. One boy is the shopkeeper and we all play at being different people buying things. Shopping makes you dreadfully tired, so we generally finish up at the snack bar for a cup of coffee and a bun. I used to get my money all wrong, but now I can work out the change properly. Sometimes we go off on journeys from our own railway station. We go off to all sorts of other places in the world to find out how other people live. Even if we can't all get on the train, it's still fun to watch. And we often write letters about what we've seen. Or perhaps make a telephone call or send a telegram. I wonder why it's called Wendy's house. Because it's not really hers. We all use it. We take turns to pay visits and have parties. And behave just like real grown-ups. How do you do, Mr. Jones? Did you have a nice journey? Buses are so full these days, aren't they? By the way, are these your gloves? No, they must have been left behind. Hang them out. I'll just go and put some more water in the pot and we'll all have another cup.
Movement is the basis of all drama. And in their classroom play, young children are given wide and varied experiences through which they gradually acquire a language of movement. Speech flows spontaneously as they feel the need.
I like it best when we play in the hall, where we can move the boxes about and build a ship, a house, a garage, or even a giant's cave, or anything we like. We've got some lovely records that seem to make up a story for us. This one made us think of spring cleaning. But I like the circus music best of all. We tried to make Billy into an elephant, but he got ever so cross and went away by himself to be a strong man, lifting an enormous weight. Once there was a storm outside, and we listened to the wind. I think the wind sounds like trees on a cold, stormy night. The sound of it just makes me feel cold. Brrr.
By the time they reach the junior school, children feel the need to play, to work, and to experiment together. Their dramatic play becomes a pooling of ideas and a sharing of experience.
This is our railway station. You can be a porter, or a shopkeeper, or just a passenger waiting for a train. Everyone is in this play.
Can I have a knowledge book, please? I like something to read on the train. Certainly, sir. Here's your change.
Now, what would I like? Oh, yes, a woman's...
Instinctively, these children are identifying themselves with characters and situations of everyday life. Through their drama, they are developing sensitivity to character and the world around them. The simple play of the infant is now extended into a more complete understanding.
Ben, please. What time is the next train?
7 o'clock from platform 2. If you hurry, you'll just have time to catch it. The train now standing at platform 2 is for ox shops, walk shops and bag shops. Passengers for Badger's Bend should change at 7 o'clock. Tickets, please. All tickets, please.
This way, Auntie. Now, we've got plenty of time. I've not been the same since my last operation. Just not the same.
Tickets, madam. Thank you. All tickets, please. Is about to leave. Will passengers please take their seats and close the doors?
And so the imagination expressed pulls away on its journey of fantasy. From a single idea, the children have created together a vivid and convincing picture of people and life.
This is a scene in the Middle Ages. Our school was built on the site of a medieval castle, and it's fun to bring it to life again in our history lessons.
I was a knight in a tournament last time, battling for the honour of my lady's smile. It was terribly dangerous and very exciting to watch.
Even in those days, the children played ball.
And 5 Stones, no new game. It was played centuries ago on this very spot.
In this way, history is made real and living, as the Middle Ages are recreated by the magic of drama and playmaking.
Children love stories, and in this one they are sharing in the experiences of a Victorian orphan boy. They're older, these children, in their last year at the primary school. But the wonder, the enchantment, and the make-believe is with them and part of them still. This story could have been finished in 10 minutes, but... And so it became the inspiration of a whole term's work. We started with acting the story. So the play is born and grows through shared experience. The library was a focal point for a time.
My job was to find out all I could about clothes they wore in those days. So I got out all the books I could find about costumes and dresses.
I needed to find out how people lived in Victorian times, and I must have read at least 6 history books before I'd finished.
I was on transport.
My job was food. There was lots about houses.
And I found 3 poems about orphans. I painted a picture of a chimney sweep boy.
I wrote a verse about a tramp.
And I wrote about demons.
The boys were just as busy with pencil and paper. If 2 demons take up a block and a half, how many blocks for 12? And how much room will be needed? Better try it and see. Everyone was busy in some way or another. Models were made in cardboard and sticky paper. Others in the craft department made the masks, while 3 of the boys started a whole project on Victorian transport and horseless carriages. The art groups had a wonderful time. They drew and painted enough for a dozen plays. Scenery, posters, portraits, and 101 things besides. Some of the girls decided to dress some Victorian dolls. After writing and drawing so much about costume, they knew exactly what to do. As the play became more detailed, it was necessary to try out and choose the words of the dialogue. At first, this was a simple outline of what had to be said, put directly on the tape recorder, and then played back to be adopted, improved, or discarded.
Nothing. Yes, nothing, of course. Just sitting still and behaving ourselves.
No wonder we get into
The
trouble.
chief engineer was very proud of his job, and quite as skillful as I in handling the machine.
We say she's so strict.
Thus the script was spoken, listened to, discussed, and finally written down. It was finished. All the children continued to be involved, and ideas must be transplanted into action. This meant experiment in time and space. Portable rostra came into use, and the children tried out all sorts of settings. Now for the production itself.
Once upon a time, in a large industrial town, there was a little boy who was very unhappy because he lived in an orphanage. He was so unhappy that one day he decided to run away. 2 unscrupulous tramps met him on his wanderings, and they frightened him so much that he escaped from them and hid in a garden of a large house. One of the tramps climbed over the wall to look for him. The tramp searched and searched until he found the little boy behind one of the statues. So he caught him by one leg and dragged him from his hiding place. The wicked tramp wanted the little boy to go into the house to steal. Tom refused, but the tramp told him that if he didn't do as he was told, the demons that lived in the garden would come and drive him in. And the 6 children she looked after. She was a very strict person, without an ounce of sympathy for the children, and she made them sit perfectly still. They were all sitting very gloomily when suddenly Simon heard a scraping noise coming from the cupboard. They were all a little bit scared, especially the girls. They crept over to the cupboard, opened it wide. And out fell Tom. The 3 girls screamed with fright, for they thought he was dead.
But after they had picked him up and given him a drink of water, he recovered and was able to answer their questions.
Suddenly, John rushed in and said, "Miss Bossyworth's coming." So as fast as they could, they picked Tom up and put him back again in the cupboard.
And by the time Miss Bossyworth had arrived to say that supper was ready, they were all sitting as quietly as could be and looking very innocent.
There is a lot more of our story to tell. It's all in these books and folders, and you may be sure there is a happy ending. The wicked tramp was arrested by a Bow Street runner and taken off to prison.
The children and a reformed Miss Bossyworth waved goodbye to Tom, who was adopted by a kind gentleman who took him away. And Tom lived happily ever after.
And this all began with a story.